This is a little video I'm making for the Occupy Portland Facebook page. And I want to say that Portland is my hometown. I moved away from Portland in 2011. And, you know, it was really important for me as a soul to continue my evolution by seeing what life was like outside of the box of Portland, Oregon. And that's a big, big subject that I'm going to address in a future book that I'll be writing about some of my life experiences and activism over the course of the last decade. But when I left Portland, a lot of things changed in my life, and I'm not slamming Portland. I think there's a lot of beautiful things to Portland, but this is my message to the people at the Occupy Portland page. There isn't any Occupy page out there that compares to the level of anger, resentment, and infighting that exists on the Occupy Portland page. And I'm working to be really, really polite, but I gotta say, as someone that grew up and lived in Portland for a long time and had my own TV show for 7 years on Access TV, you know, a TV show where I would talk about world government, the left-right paradigm, 9/11, things that would get me glares in the streets in Portland, Oregon, instead of support from my fellow activists for touching controversial subjects, being labeled a conspiracy theorist. I know what that's like to have that judgment from people in my own hometown. And I know what it was like to move from Portland and come into other areas in the country, in multiple states, where I met more liberty-minded activists that were less socialist-leaning. But I'm not here to slam anyone, and I'm not here to slam Occupy Portland as a whole because I don't subscribe to groupthink. But what I will say is that there is something about my hometown of Portland, Oregon, which I still care about very much, especially its future. And I've addressed that in other videos, where I see Portland in the future and some of the threats that I feel it's facing. And I talked about that on great length on my show. There's just the level of anger and resentment and infighting that I see on the Occupy Portland page. Hands down, there's no other Facebook page that I'm aware of. You can go ahead and let me know what other page there is, where there are more people insulting others that are actually on the same side as them. It's like a sport. And I don't know what it is about Portland, whether it's the Fukushima blowover. I've lived in other major cities before, and the level of resentment that Portlanders seem to show, you know, when it comes to other activists, the level of competition. There's certain animalistic primal rage. And a lot of my anger lifted when I moved from Portland. That's not to say that everybody who lives in Portland has an anger problem, but I've never met in my whole life more egos, more insulting behavior, more prancing around. You know, I'm too sexy. I'm Mr. Activist. I'm Miss Activist. I care more than you. No, I care more than you. No, I care more than you. And it's borderline psychotic. It's sociopathic. It's borderline schizophrenic at times. Who are you? Are you an enemy? Are you a racist? Are you that? And I was like, whoa, relax. Just relax. Also, I've never, and I was in Dallas for a little bit, I've never seen more strip clubs and porno stores and more places where women are actually subjectified on a sexual level than Portland, Oregon. I remember when I would speak about this in Portland, Oregon, women would get upset thinking that I wanted to control them. Oh, you want to control our sexuality? No, actually I don't. But I think that there's more to your sexuality than the way it's expressing itself in this current time-space reality. So in a long-winded way of going about doing this, I'm explaining that I think there are certain environmental factors, the history of Portland, the dense population, the electromagnetic pollution, the chemtrailing, perhaps other poisons in the water, fluoride aside, other things in the tap water, they're affecting people's well-being. The history of Portland is really significant, being that I have a lot of history in Portland as well as my family. I've always felt that Portland is the city of the wounded goddess. There are so many people that act green, but they're not really green. They're just walking upon the earth, and they're taking Portland's resources. They're taking from the Portland energy. And a lot of people in Portland are not from Portland. They've come from somewhere else. So Portland, Oregon, throughout time has attracted criminals, prostitutes, drug addicts, drug dealers, drug pushers, and corrupt politicians that have actually used their political clout to involve themselves in widespread criminal activities. And this goes back a very long time. A very long time. There was a time where Portland was just loggers, and semen, and they brought in the women, they brought in the prostitutes, and the city ran the brothels. What I'm saying is Portland is not a very progressive place. There's a lot of anger and rage, and there's a lot of people in Portland that have come from other cities and other places, but there's an energy in Portland. Being a sensitive, myself, an empath, someone that has had, I guess someone could call them visions or dreams, and I've actually seen things come to pass. We are now in the Big Brother Society, the same Big Brother Society I was laughed at in Portland, Oregon when I talked about these things a decade ago, when there was denial about this, when Bush was the president. Looking back in retrospect at my experiences, I can see how there is a spirit of evil and competition and anger in Portland and in the air because of all the economic poverty people have gone through. There's a lot of people that feel sorry for themselves because of their economic status, so they therefore take that out on others that they perceive to have more than them, I've been homeless for 3 years, at least. The reason I left Portland is I couldn't find a place to stay. Of course, Portland is, a lot of you guys know, you got influx. You got people from Frisco, Seattle, all over the friggin' planet. They go to Portland. It's the other melting pot, other than New York City. However, it's still mostly white people, even though there are people from all over the world in Portland. Whites are still mostly dominant. And I'm just noting that as a demographic. I'm not saying whether that's positive or negative. But what I can say is there's a lot of Anglo-Saxon, full-blown, full-white activists in Portland that I feel do not care enough about those that are not of pure white color. And they don't say they're racist, and they may not be consciously racist, but I've seen too much worship in Portland of political leaders, in particular Barack Obama, and not enough emphasis on the victims of war. In the Occupy movement as a whole, that's where the Occupy movement fell on its face. Selfishness, self-centeredness. You cannot have a successful movement that is based on what you have personally lost. Okay, I also took student loans. I went to Mount Hood Community College, but I don't whine about that ever. Because the bigger issue are those that are being killed at the hands of this government. It's not that you're broke. It's not that you don't have a job. There were people telling you years ago, hey, the economy is not looking good. You may have laughed at them years ago and called them a conspiracy kook. And now look at what's going on with our economy. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And the level of childish behavior that I saw years ago still exists today, in particular in the Occupy movement, in particular on the Occupy Portland Facebook page. There is no other Facebook page where there is as much childish, insulting behavior. Watch the insults that come in response to this video just because I'm highlighting this. Or other insults. Oh, isn't that Al Chancery, the guy that used to scare me half to death? I remember posting on Occupy Portland's page, and a whole barrage of insults come in. Every time I posted on Portland Indie Media, the same shit happened. Portland Indie Media is probably one of the most toxic sites you can go to, where there was just anger, 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 anger. No solutions and no compassion for the victims of war, for the darkest skinned people that have been murdered at the hands of this government. And to me, I find that sick, I find that psychotic, I find that sociopathic, I find that frightening. There are people out there that say they're activists that actually don't give a shit about anybody, and if you disagree with the politician that they worship, they will call you are you ready for it? A racist. You got it. And that's all I have to say. Occupy Portland, a lot of you guys are fucked up in the head. You're mentally ill, and you've gone through, and I'm not generalizing all of you. You actually know who you are, because you know if you're one of those angry motherfuckers, that's just pure, idiots. I'm the only one that knows anything. I'm the only one that knows. It's all about peak oil, and it's all about socialism being the solution. If you don't agree with us, you're a racist. A racist. And it reaches absurd levels. I would advocate traveling. I would advocate trying different things, spending some time in the country, developing an off-the-grid community with other Occupy Portland people that feel like you. I would not stay in the city and stew in my anger because I was there. I know what it's like to be angry in Portland. I know what it's like to feel trapped in Portland. I was there my whole life. I watched my mother leave Portland. I watched my father leave Portland. At 2 different times in their lives, they were both divorced. There's something about Portland that traps your energy, that's suppressing your energy. There's something evil about the streets of Portland. There's something evil about Portland's past. The people of Portland today, in particular the people posted on Occupy Portland, they are not as conscious as they think they are. There may be some good people there, as there may be good people everywhere. Generalization is not good. But as a whole, I got to tell you, it is the most toxic place on the web in terms of anger, fear, division, finger pointing. Just watch the comments that come in response to this video, just because I'm highlighting unmindful, unspiritual, unloving behavior. If we want to see change in the world, we need to be that change. It doesn't mean that we're all perfect, but we need to work to be that change. And we can't be that change by pointing the finger and blaming everyone else for our problems. Or the worst thing we can do, call someone a racist if they don't agree with what we agree with politically. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that have called other people racist that I think are racist themselves. If you don't care, or if you don't believe that it's important in your activism to call out those that have murdered others unjustly across the world, you may have racial tendencies, and it may not even be that. It may just be the fact that you identify with whites only for the most part on a subconscious level. You're not even aware of it up here on a cognitive level, to where you're actually aware on a self-honest level of where you are energetically, spiritually, whether you actually truly have love for your fellow man and fellow woman. It's the most shocking thing that I've experienced since I was born, 33 years ago in 1980, in Portland, Oregon, when Mount St. Helens blew. There's nothing more shocking that I've experienced in my entire lifetime of activism, which goes back to 2003, really not that long, 10 years. Nothing more concerning than seeing women in this country show no concern for women of another color in another country that have been subjected to all forms of cruelty at the hands of this government and this military, as well as NATO. And we're not just talking about being gang raped, having penises forcibly inserted into you. No, we're also talking about having your children murdered or thrown in jail, or your husbands being labeled as terrorists. Americans don't really think enough about karma, even though there's a lot of popular spiritual beliefs in this country. I mean, for those of you important, New Renaissance Bookstore, Southeast Portland, Hawthorne Boulevard, the street of the $50 Buddha. Just buy yourself a Buddha for $50. It's all good. It's all good. Go shop at New Seasons. You're good. You're good. No, you're not all good. You're not all good. You're not all good. You can protest all you want, but as long as you vote for people that support dictatorships, Sam Adams, for example, supporting Barack Obama. Barack Obama expanding the drone attacks. There's the link right there. When Occupy Portland was mobilized in front of City Hall, I watched all the videos, by the way, because I'm passionate about Portland restoring its freedom. And a lot of activists there, they didn't seem to raise those issues of the drones over Portland, of the military drills that Sam Adams allowed the federal government to do in Portland. And in my opinion, you need to keep some issues local. Some issues you can't have an effect on immediately. So sometimes it's best to start local. I left before the whole Occupy thing took off, but I was really saddened to see a lack of awareness or activism around the militarization of local police taking place in Portland. A lot of it was yelling about issues and this. It didn't look good. Nor did it appear that the crowd was really upset with Barack Obama for the wars and the murders and the death. Again, a lot of things keep coming back to, we're poor and you're rich, give us something. As someone that's been homeless for 3 years, that type of rhetoric doesn't work on me as someone that's steeped in poverty. I'm staying in a room right now. Someone here in Colorado is helping me when I'm down. That didn't happen when I was in Oregon, so I see a lot of self-righteous, I am right, you are wrong. Oh, we care about the poor, you evil capitalists. When I was in Portland, I didn't see a whole lot of people caring about the poor or my poverty. I was forced out of Portland because I can no longer afford to live there anymore. So all this rhetoric over caring for the poor and caring for women's rights and caring for the minorities and all these different things, it's rhetoric unless you actually put it into action. And so I hope that people, watch this video, even though I'm passionate, I'm saying a lot of things, that you don't take this as a personal insult. You take this as constructive feedback. It's not just me that sees this. It's most all of my friends that see this. If there's a serious issue with activists in Portland getting too involved in their anger, and perhaps, I don't know what the other issue is, drug addiction, alcoholism. I have never seen more drinking and drug usage anywhere in this country than what I've seen in Portland, Oregon. And again, I'm not marginalizing all of you. I'm asking the question, are there certain influences from your environment and your life as a Portlander that lead you to be in a state of constant anger and finger pointing and I am right and you are wrong mentality? I'll tell you what, If you try living somewhere outside of Portland, just take a vacation, you might feel that your feelings change just a little bit.